It's finally time to review the last Samurai Warriors game, that being Samurai Warriors 4 DX, a PlayStation 4 game ported to PC back in May. It's also one of their best ports to date. This game is a next-gen version of Samurai Warriors 4, released back in 2014 to celebrate the series' 10th anniversary. It also has all the DLC, hence why it's called DX. So given this game has been around for a long time, it must have not aged well, right? Surprisingly, it's actually quite good. Though, there is some faults that I will be sure to cover. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about how it's been almost 1 year since I first started this journey. I never thought I would make it this far. I never saw myself covering every major Samurai Warriors game, but here we are, with the very last game, and it feels so good to be done with it all. So yeah, let's jump into this review already, as I have a lot to talk about. Honestly, don't like making my reviews so long, as they completely flop on my channel. In this game, you have 12 new characters to play with. I won't be covering them all because they mostly all suck. I have zero interest in most of them. All I will say is I hate Hisari Matsunaga. This guy is literally just, we have Majima Goro at home. Then there's the female foot ninja warrior girl. Yeah, it's hard to describe this chick. Basically, she uses her feet to fight. Now calm down, you horn dogs. She's basically an anime as fuck chick in skippy samurai armor. She also has booby physics. 'Cause science. She clashes with one of my favorite girls from Samurai Warriors 3 during one of the story scenarios.
こりゃ神さんの実家もぼちぼち危ねえかな。
父上、今川家のいい直虎殿が出迎えに参られたようです。
いい直虎、いい男っぽい名前。
いい直虎です。
女かい。
すみません。なんかすみません。
Kai doesn't like her, and I'm in agreement. She's always so scared and apologizing. She's not that enjoyable, but I can see the Rule 34 potential. I can see the reason to marry her in the Empire's game. That is, if you can even figure out how to actually build relationships in that game. I can't for some reason.
バカ。我が輩は決めた。我が輩は我が輩の運命を奪い返す。
The last character I feel like is just okay is Yukimura's brother, Nobuyuki, who's more calm and collective. He's more of the brains, while Yukimura is always the hot-headed warrior. While at first these brothers work together, eventually it'll lead to their brotherly bonds being tested towards the end of the story.
だが私には親方様のように弟の死を乗り越え進むことはできない。頼む、知らないでくれ、雪村。 花が散り残された幹はただただ寂しい。
兄上。
One of the things that makes it harder to go back to the older Warriors games is the very slow and clunky combat of old. The lock-on combat that felt like a slightly less tankish Resident Evil 1 knife. Plus, movement speed that was that of a boomer congressman. So to go from Dynasty Warriors 4 Empires to Samurai Warriors 3 and finally Samurai Warriors 4 Empires and DX, I found myself actually having fun. Then again, I blame the bad combat of SW3 on the Nintendo Wii. It should have been a PlayStation 3 exclusive at worst, not a Wii exclusive. But Tech McCoy has a track record of bad decisions. Looking at you, Dynasty Warriors 9.
I'm in danger.
Combat has never been this good in a Samurai Warriors game. It's very fast paced, very smooth, and tons of fun to play with, especially once you level up and unlock new combos. I actually liked playing as every character. No one felt god-awful to play as. Minus some characters with slow movement speeds, of course, but that can be remedied with your dash attack. Of course, you have your Musou attack, but unlike Dynasty Warriors 7 and 8, you only have one option. Meanwhile, in Dynasty Warriors, you had a ground Musou and air Musou attack. They're fine as is, but I hate how time consuming the attacks are. I mean, why do we have two separate attacks? You got your first attack, then the camera changes, your character speaks, then they go in for the final blow. I hated this. I just want to attack and keep going. Quit breaking the flow of the combat, damn it. If your spirit gauge is full, you can unleash it, then use your Musou attack for an ultimate Musou. This changes your animation and has a different area of effect with increased damage output. Then again, some of these appear to be Samurai Warriors 3 Musou attacks reused, like for Hanbai. If you and your other playable officer you selected have maxed out Musou gauges, you can unleash a dual Musou attack. Nothing is different about them, you just get a different camera effect and maybe some increased damage, but that's about it. Of course, the horse combat still sucks, but at least the horse can move a bit faster than in Samurai Warriors 3. That was just a slog, but here, you can get hold of many different horses and some are given at the start. These ones are best in different stats, but the only use I see for horses in these games is to get around the battlefield quicker. As such, I don't care if they do more damage with their charge attack or not. I just want to get around as fast as possible to ensure all objectives are completed and I can beat each battle within a short amount of time. Horses are not as fluid as Dynasty Warriors 8, but they're more doable than in any other incarnation of Warriors games at that point. A feature that helps make battles a little bit less repetitive, and I mean only by a little bit, is officer switching. When you start a battle, you can select who you will play as and the other officer to swap to. Depending on who you select will trigger certain battle events and maybe even exclusive cutscenes. But those are just lazy visual novel stuff with more stiff animations than Starfield. Something only Empire's games has had for several installments now was introduced in Samurai Warriors 4, since you can switch between two officers now. So you can give the AI controlled one orders, so they can go and defeat certain officers, complete objectives, defend the commander, or hold up in a certain spot, let alone follow you around. This is a great addition to keep things from getting too stale, on top of switching between the two selected officers. There's also a unique attack to Samurai Warriors. It's an opening attack where if you see the triangle button or Y button if you're on Xbox or PC, allows you to go in for a fatal blow or deal massive damage to officers. Thank God there's still no bow in the game. I hated it in previous games, and even in Dynasty Warriors. The only reason to use it was to get officers off their horses, attack archers on walls or towers, or to cheap shot the enemy officers with ranged attacks, to not get so easily killed yourself like when dealing with Lu Bu.
Katsuyori-sama wa gobuchi darou ka?
はい、きっと。織田信長。
なぜ？
うぬらは何を望む？変わり続ける世に何を残す？
Years ago, I was Chinese.
Given this game was originally made to celebrate Samurai Warriors' 10th anniversary, you'd think they'd go all out, right? Well, unlike Dynasty Warriors and its anniversary, they did go all out, at least in theory. Instead of giving us individual story modes, we now only have faction stories, of a grand total of 13 scenarios to play through. Only being able to select from a small selection of officers per battle. Get used to play as officers you don't like, or full on hate, cause that's the style of this game is going for.
Now this really pisses me off to no end.
I only completed 3 of the 13 scenarios cause I got bored rather quickly. I don't like this game style of storytelling. You wanna know why?
Why?
Just like my complaints with Empires, the base game has a ton of lazy visual novel storytelling cut scenes. They're boring, stiff, lifeless, soulless, and just plain forgettable. In fact, if I didn't record most of these, I wouldn't be able to tell you of a single scene from the game that was memorable. Unlike Samurai Warriors 1, 2, and 3, where they used pre-rendered and in-game storytelling cutscenes with actual movement and camera angles, you don't get those in this game, unless it's for a brief moment. Like they were just trying to not use up their entire budget on these few brief pre-rendered cutscenes that really stand out in comparison to the lazy visual novel shit.
No man can have everything he wants.
Sadly, all battles are linear. You'll play them the same every single time you play the game, even in free battle. What's the point of free battle if it's not a free battle?
Makes sense.
Going through the same exact linear corridor of level designed battlefields, fighting the same exact officers, doing the same exact objectives. There's no player freedom, unlike in older Warriors games. This was all gutted in Dynasty Warriors 5 onwards.
Preach it, honey.
One of the worst things about this game is the non-stop pop-up objectives. While I'm sure you could turn it off in the settings, we should not have to toggle off a bad mechanic to a game. It should just be good right out of the box. Why do I have to turn it off to make it less annoying? Just don't add it in the first place. So yeah, because of this style of game, you will never really get to use your favorite officers in Musou Mode. In fact, several don't even appear as playable officers, or even just as an in-game NPC. Pure laziness and restrictions, I cannot stand.
さてこの戦最も功ありし者は誰か。秀吉。
I know you told your friend you're not okay.
Free mode is back and lets you play any battles you've unlocked with any unlocked characters. This includes your created characters, unless they're used in Chronicles mode, of course. Otherwise, it's just Musou Mode with freedom of character selection. There's no appeal whatsoever, since you cannot choose the other side in these battles. You can only play as the predetermined faction.
You know it, I know it, everybody knows it. There it is.
吉本本陣をつく。江の城砦を抜け、吉本の背後へ駆け。
At least, unlike Dynasty Warriors for the PSP, you do keep your progression, so this is a way to grind other characters in certain stages, yet you can easily gain levels in their respective Musou modes anyways, especially with unique items I use during my playthroughs, which makes free mode all the more pointless.
弱い者は消える。戦場の掟だ。
There's only 3 modes to play in this game, one of which is good, the other is pointless, but at least it's there for those that want it. And finally, the horribly boring snooze fest that is Chronicle Mode. Yep, there is a mode where you play as your own created character of choice and then just play tiny battles with other officers. That's it. That's the entire mode. It's stupid and pointless, except it's also the only way to get any of the biographies for characters, so if you want to see the history of each character in a real life counterpart, you can't. You have to play through Chronicle Mode with those officers and befriend them over the course of several battles, and I mean several battles, just to get a tiny paragraph about each officer put into the BIOS section of the dojo in the main menu, which is the other section where you can make your own characters, change settings, and view cutscenes again.
It's awful.
I honestly have nothing positive to say about Chronicle Mode. You could tell it was just tacked on here for an illusion of added value so they can sell this game to you. It's a boring experience that I played less than 15 minutes of just because it was that god awful. And when you make something someone refuses to play through the entire thing for, you know you failed as a developer and should just give up.
Based.
So yeah, let's cover the very last part of this game. Officer Edit allows you to make some custom characters, but not really, as the assets available are lackluster and not that good. So good luck making anyone from your favorite TV show, movie, video game, anime, real life, etc. It's a mediocre, lackluster character creator at best, and feels like something from a PlayStation 2 game instead of a PlayStation 4 game ported to PC. There are zero excuses here. Hell, it's even worse in the Empire's game, as some of these assets are not even available. But then again, it might be because that was the PS3 version. Oh well, who cares? I tried my best to make myself Charlie, Muda, Zack, and a female, cause we don't want a sausage party, mainly because that was one of the worst movies I tried to watch and stopped only 15 minutes into the film.
Yeah, this is good. What the fuck? Oh my god. What the heck? Who the fuck was this for? They forgot. Maybe it's undecided because the developers haven't figured it out. What the fuck? Absolutely. Yep.
After you make whatever you were trying to make but failed to do so cause this editor fucking sucks, you then can pick from one of 5 generic weapons to use. Yep, you cannot use any unique officer weapons in this game, at least not yet. Even after completing 3 scenarios in Musou Mode, I still didn't unlock any weapons or assets for created characters. So that tells me all I need to know. There's no way to do so after all. Unless that means I have to befriend them in Chronicles Mode, then fuck that shit.
Garbage!
The last part of character creation is selecting your growth type. This will determine your starting point for each stat and how they will grow over time. so pick wisely as you will regret not making your character move fast and deal damage at the same time. Trust me.
父はね、守りを固めて反撃の機を伺え。
父上、天守の門は私が守り抜きますぞ。
I'm moving a little slower than usual today.
So let's dive into the other section now and cover things like the PC port, starting out with which console version this game is based on.
Oh, goody goody!
While Samurai Warriors 4-2 was a PS3 game ported to PC many years ago, this one is based on the PlayStation 4 version of Samurai Warriors 4. This comes with all the DLC, and while it's okay looking today, back then it was a nicer looking game. It's sad how quickly video games aged like cottage cheese in the hot Arizona desert sun, since we went full 3D in the 90s. Yet overall, it's an okay looking game, with not many problems with the port.
It's a miracle! A Thanksgiving miracle!
Which is weird given Tecmo Koei's horrible track record with PC ports. While some are okay, most are terrible, like bad button layouts, last gen console ports, or technical hiccups galore.
What do, Grimy?
But thankfully, so far, this game has no real issues during my playthrough of several story modes and exploring everything else. So yes, one of the worst things about PC ports for Dynasty Warriors' many spin-offs was the button layout. That was not repeated for once. We can actually switch in the settings menu if we want to confirm with the B button or circle button instead of the A button or X button. By default, it is the A button, thank God.
Hallelujah!
This brings me to the last thing about the PC port, that being a very important part of any game.
Tell us, tell us, tell us, tell us!
Okay, Jesus. Not you.
Change the world. My final message. Goodbye.
So yeah, the PC port plays just fine. Even though I don't have a high-end PC, I never once had any slowdown, stuttering, long load times, or crash to desktop like you get when you play anything by Bethesda.
All of this just works. It's not, I'm not kidding.
So even if you don't have a gaming PC, you can easily run this game. There's a good amount of graphical options too to make it more playable on most computers, so thankfully this PC port is pretty solid. Wait, who are you and what did you do to Tecmo Koei? Of course, we have to talk about the music.
Ah boy, here we go.
If you like rock, metal, techno, let alone traditional music, why not combine them for a very unique soundtrack to make you feel various emotions depending on the scenario on screen. Honestly, I feel like Samurai Warriors 2 and 4 have the best music in the series and can easily compete with the likes of Dynasty Warriors 4 and 7 respectively. One of the major cons to this game is the lack of an English dub. So yeah, hope you can read subtitles while slaughtering hordes of enemies, let alone are a weeb and know Japanese, let alone are Japanese.
Yeah, Chinese, Japanese, dirty knees, look at these. Hey, what do you say we get some of them burritos?
At the end of the day, Samurai Warriors 4 DX is a decent game. While lacking in some areas, I still had fun. Had it have a decent English dub, actual choice of which faction to side with in free mode, had they made Chronicle Mode something worth playing and not a snore fest, and of course, had there been more focus on characters instead of factions, I'd probably have given it a higher rating. But for what it is, Samurai Warriors 4 DX is a game worth playing. However, it's not the best entry, as I still feel Samurai Warriors 2 was the best out of all the base games for Samurai Warriors. Out of all versions of SW4 to play, this is the best choice. Samurai Warriors 4 itself was lackluster from what I have seen, and 4.2 was just complete garbage. However, I still prefer Empires over every other expansion and alternative version of the base game. I just prefer to have more control, more strategy, and more personalization. Well, that does it, folks. I've officially reviewed every single major Samurai Warriors game and their expansions, after almost 1 year starting in November 2023. I've been at it just trying to get to each one as I could. It was one hell of a journey, but one I have no regrets from. Unlike every fishing game for the PlayStation 1 where most of the games were garbage, here, that wasn't the case. Samurai Warriors has more good than bad games, which isn't something every franchise can say. Look at Resident Evil, Call of Duty, Dead Rising, Dynasty Warriors, South Park, Postal, and more. They all have more bad games than good, so let that help set in stone. Samurai Warriors has better developers that actually try and know what they're doing.
Oh, really?
Soon, a compilation for Samurai Warriors 4 will appear on my channel, and in the future, the complete compilation of every Samurai Warriors game. Till then, anyways, that's it for this video. See you all later.
鬼になんざなれるかよ。